Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video we're going to be making an 8 pieces dress. So starting, we are going to start on our neckline, and then our neckline is going to be 5 inches on the width, and on the length is going to be 6 inches. So moving on, we are going to go ahead and place our nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. So I'm placing that on the bust line, on the under bust, and my waistline. So on the waistline, we are going to impute our dots, and on the left side, I'm going to be going in by 1 inch, and on the other side, I'm going in by 1.5. So overall, our bust dot is 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to be placing that's my ruler to roll the nipple to nipple measurement, and I'm going to also place the 1 inch and 1.5 inch on the under bust line. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll that in. So I'm also going to take my curved ruler to connect my under bust dot to my bust line. Moving on, going down to the hip line and the hem line, I'm also going to be placing my nipple to nipple measurements, and then I'll also be taking in the darts that I took on the waistline and bust line. So that is 1 inch on the left side and 1.5 inches on the right side. So you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just placing a 1.5 inch, and I'm going to do the same on the hem. So I'm using the full length of the brown paper as 1 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll those lines in. So I'm going to be rolling them straight to the hem line. So I'm just rolling in the nipple to nipple measurements line. So next we are going to be measuring for the midpoint of our armhole, so we can take in our armhole darts. So mine is 4 inches, so I'm just going to mark that 4 inches, and then I connected the line to my bust. So I went ahead to extend the line on that armhole, the half armhole, and then drew a new armhole, although I shouldn't have done it yet at this time. So moving on though, on that armhole that we already marked, we are going to be going down by 1.5 inches. And then I'm just going to curve that and connect it to my bust line. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my marker to mark out the line. So next we are going to be extending that line for the armhole. So I extended it out by 1 inch. Here I'm just trying to show you guys that that part is not what we are going to be using. So I extended the armhole line by 1 inch, the princess dart, and then I just curved it into the armhole to form the new armhole. So this part I am crossing is where we are going to be cutting out, so we are not going to be using that part. And then the dot line, that part will be cutting out. So next we are going to go ahead and add our body measurements. So my bust line, I'm adding my bust measurement plus 1 inch allowance, and then I added 1 inch for joining of the dots. Then my bust line, and then that 1.5 inches that you took in, we are going to place it on our armhole. You're going to replace that 1.5 that you took from the armhole while you are placing your measurement on your chest line. So moving to the under bust, I placed my under bust measurement, and then the dart I took in, which is 2.5, and my 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'm going to be placing the same measurement I have on my under bust on my waistline too. So I just placed that in. And then for my hip line, I read my hip line measurements plus the 2.5 inch that we have there. So I was short of 1 inch for sewing allowance, so I went ahead to mark that and add it. I added it while I was cutting the fabric, so please take note of that. So make sure you mark on your pattern in case your pattern paper is short by ½ inch or something like that, so that you can go ahead and add it while you are cutting your fabric. So moving on to the back, our neckline is going to be 5 inches with the depth of 6 inches. I didn't want the neckline to be so deep, so that's why I went with 6 inches. So next we're going to be placing our nipple to nipple measurement on the bust line, on the under bust, on the waistline, on the hip line, and the hemline. So on the waistline, you are going to be going in by 1 inch on both sides. So I'm also going to place my nipple to nipple measurement on my neckline also. So from the neckline, we are going to be rolling down to the hemline on the nipple to nipple measurement, which is that 4 inches. And then I'm going to connect the 1 inch to the neckline and the 1 inch to the neckline on both sides. So on the hip line, I'm going to go ahead and also measure the 1 inch on both sides for the dots, and also on the hemline, the 1 inch on both sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll that in. So I'm just marking in my zip allowance so that I take notes while I'm cutting my fabric. So next I'm going to be adding my body measurements. I'm just placing in my bust measurements plus the darts there and 1 inch sewing allowance. And I'm going to place the same thing on the chest line. Then on the under bust, I'm going to place my under bust measurements, 1 inch sewing allowance and 1.5 inches for the dart. Then moving to my waistline, I'm adding my waistline measurements, 1 inch sewing allowance and 2 inches for the dart. And I'm going to also be placing my hip measurements, 1 inch sewing allowance and 2 inches for the dart. So here I marked the inches that I needed to add to my fabric when I'm cutting. So on the hemline, we are not going to be marking anything, so we're just going to leave it as it is. So I'm just connecting the lines, and then we are going to move over to the sleeve. So the sleeve, we are going to be using a slash and spread method. I already have my sleeve pattern here cut out, so I'm just going to be measuring 2 inches. So I'm just going to roll out the 2 inches mark already marked on my sleeve pattern. So right here I'm using my marker so that you guys can see better, and I'm just going to place number on the sleeve so that when I'm placing on my paper for the slash and spread, I don't mismatch the pieces. So right here I'm placing my sleeve on the slash and for the slash and spread. Here I'm going in by 2 inches. You can go less or more depending on how big you want your sleeve to be. So guys, this is what the sleeve is looking like. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Part 2 will be coming up soon on how to sew the 6 pieces dress. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.